Hey everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel and welcome back to 7 Heroes Month. 2 weeks ago I talked about one of the greatest movies of all time, Seven Samurai, which originally, when it was released in the US in 1955, went under the name of, well, today's movie. This is my retro review for The Magnificent Seven, which came out in 1960, directed by John Sturges, and is a remake of Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. In fact, when Seven Samurai came out in 1955 here under the name The Magnificent Seven, it went back to being called Seven Samurai after this movie came out. So given that this is a remake of Seven Samurai, it's essentially the same story except it takes place in the Old West. A peaceful village in Mexico is constantly attacked by a group of bandits. So a few villagers head up the border to try to recruit gunmen to come down and help fight off the bandits. And the gunmen do this not for money or fame, whatever, but because it's the right thing to do. Before I continue, if you like this video and you want to see more reviews like this in the future, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and also hit that bell button to get a notification when a new video comes out. Anyway, let's continue with the review. Keeping with the theme that I've set for myself during these monthly retro reviews, I have seen Seven Samurai, but I'd never seen The Magnificent Seven from 1960. I saw the 2016 version from Anton Fuqua, and I enjoyed that to a certain extent, but it's been a while since I've seen it, and I'd like to rewatch it soon. But this original movie, this original remake, I should say, I just never got around to seeing it. And knowing that it is a remake of Seven Samurai, I thought to myself, well, I'm sure it's a really good movie and there's a reason why it stood the test of time, but it can't be anywhere near as good as Seven Samurai. I mean, there's no way in hell that it could top that original classic. And it doesn't, but The Magnificent Seven, now that I've seen the original for myself, is a classic in its own right. This is a damn near excellent Western. What really works about this movie is that it is a remake of that story from Seven Samurai, but it's shorter than Seven Samurai. There are a few differences throughout to where if you watch this, there are going to be some surprises here and there. There are scenes that parallel Seven Samurai, but at the end of the day, it's its own identity. It is its own movie that you can enjoy without having seen Seven Samurai. One major difference that you'll notice with this movie is that it is significantly shorter. Seven Samurai ran for 3 hours and 27 minutes. This movie runs for 2 hours and 8 minutes. That's nearly an hour and a half of the story trimmed down for this version. And yet when you watch it, you never get the impression that something's missing or there are key moments that would have added a lot more context to this movie. No, it all flows beautifully. Because one of the great things about Seven Samurai is that it's a 3.5-hour movie that doesn't feel like one. So when it came to this movie, John Sturges knew exactly how to trim it down to a good 2 hours and feel like a complete movie and that it's not missing anything from it. Another thing that I really love about this movie that Seven Samurai actually doesn't do is that it puts a face on the bandits. When you watch the original Seven Samurai, when it came to the bandits, they didn't really have any character. I mean, they were barely in the movie, and the only thing I know of the bandits is that Haru Nakajima played one of them, although I couldn't tell you which bandit he's playing. In The Magnificent Seven, however, we get to know the leader of the bandits, played by the great Eli Wallach, and he is fantastic in this movie. He is just as good in this role as he is in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So in a sense, I feared the bandits in this movie far more than I did the ones in Seven Samurai, because we know who their leader is. There are scenes in this movie where he has conversations with not just the villagers, but the gunmen, and he comes across as a real threat. He is a great villain in this movie. The rest of the cast, especially when it comes to the 7 gunmen, are really good. Yul Brynner is the main character of the movie, and he's pretty much the Takashi Shimura equivalent, where He's the leader, he's the one that recruits the other 7, and the one calling the shots. He's great. Steve McQueen is kind of the second-in-command type character. He's good as well. And the very first scene with the two of them, where they're on the hearse wagon going up to a cemetery to bury a Native American because the people up at the cemetery won't do it because he's Native American. That's a great sequence. You have Charles Bronson in this movie, who gets a lot of scenes with a couple of the kids from the village, and it leads to a great moment at the end of the film. James Coburn is the equivalent of the samurai who's an expert with swords, and he has a scene that parallels the scene in Seven Samurai, which is fantastic. And then you have Horst Buchholz, who, first of all, I hope I pronounced that name correctly, but he's kind of a mix of Toshiro Mifune's character and the younger samurai who falls in love with one of the villagers. He's like Toshiro Mifune in the sense that he's a hothead, he's full of himself, and he is the one that pretty much, when they arrive in the village, sounds the alarm just to get all the villagers out because they're too scared to greet the gunmen when they first arrive. And now where he's similar to the younger samurai is that he falls in love with a village woman, but unlike in Seven Samurai, this character doesn't die like Toshiro Mifune's did. And there's a more happy ending where he actually gets to stay with the village girl, and there's no father basically shaming her for falling in love with an outsider. It is different from Seven Samurai, and again, if you're familiar with Seven Samurai, there are still some surprises to be had despite the fact that this is a remake. The gunfights are great. It's a mix of fantastic choreography, some exciting cinematography, and great sound design. It doesn't get to the same level of intensity as in Seven Samurai, where there's so much choreography with the guys on horses that you're wondering how they pulled it off, but it's still exciting nonetheless. And then of course you've got the amazing score from Elmer Bernstein. If you've not seen this movie, you have definitely heard the theme of this film because it is one of the most iconic themes to any Western. Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. It's such a great score that it even got nominated for an Academy Award, and it's usually the music that I think of when I think of those old classic Hollywood Westerns before the spaghetti Western era came in. This is a damn near perfect movie. It's easily one of the best Westerns of all time and one of the best remakes ever made. The only thing that I can really pinpoint as bad is something that was of its time, and that goes back to the villain of the movie played by Eli Wallach, because Eli Wallach is Jewish, and yet he's playing a character who is Mexican. And again, this is much like with West Side Story, where this was very much a problem back in the 1960s, where Hollywood would just take these white actors and put them in brownface. Although I have to be perfectly honest, much like with Natalie Wood in West Side Story, where I thought she was always Latina, I always thought Eli Wallach was Hispanic because of his role in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So I actually didn't know that he was Jewish until I listened to the Junk Food Cinema episode of this movie. And yeah, it is very much problematic, but it doesn't really distract from how great his performance is and just how great the movie is in general. Because The Magnificent Seven, for lack of a better word, is magnificent, and a movie you need to get off your ass and go see right now. If you are very familiar with The Seven Samurai, this is a more condensed version of it. It's clearly an American version of it. And in the same way Godzilla King of the Monsters catapulted that franchise to worldwide stardom, this movie pretty much catapulted the story to be as popular as it is right now. So Seven Samurai is obviously the better movie, and I doubt many people will argue that, but The Magnificent Seven is the one where you go, yeah, this is the one that really put it out there among the world. So it is an excellent movie, and I'm so glad that I finally was able to watch and review it. And there you go, that's my review for The Magnificent Seven, and this brings us to the end of Seven Heroes Month. Now, next month is October, so no real surprises on what next month is going to be because it's my annual series of horror movie reviews. So in keeping with the momentum of these retro review double features, next month is going to be called Horror Month, but I'm not going to simply review two movies like I've been doing for the majority of the year. The first movie, or movies, I should say, that I'll be reviewing in October will be the Fear Street trilogy. I saw these movies when they were released on Netflix 3 years ago. I love them. I've actually been trying to find time every year to review these movies, but the task of rewatching all 3 of them in a row again was kind of daunting, but this is the year I do it. And as for the second retro review, I made a promise to you all last year when I reviewed the latest installment of this particular series, but I will finally be getting around to reviewing the original Exorcist. I have avoided this movie just purely on the basis that it's been deemed the scariest movie ever made, but now it's finally time to conquer my fears and tackle The Exorcist once and for all. So the Fear Street trilogy and The Exorcist will be my annual Halloween reviews for 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for being subscribed to the channel. And I want to give a special thank you to my YouTube members out there. If you want to help support the channel even more, you could do so via YouTube memberships for as little as $1.99 a month. Not only do you get early access to all of my videos, but you get exclusive videos that nobody else gets to see, including my top 5 favorite series. So I hope you guys consider becoming a YouTube member in the future. And until next time, I want to know what you guys think about the Magnificent 7. Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and my theme park and travel channel right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.